Welcome back to the citadel of Turkish spotlight secrets, the corner of the internet where we don't just watch the stars flicker, we trace the invisible forces pulling them closer. Today we're stepping into a revelation that doesn't crash in with a headline so much as it trembles underfoot, the kind of shift that changes how you look at the entire landscape of Turkish entertainment. What we're about to examine feels like the dream fans whispered about at midnight and then dared not repeat in the morning. And yet, somehow, it has crossed that fragile boundary between fantasy and possibility. Before we lift the curtain on this delicate chapter, anchor yourself to our community. Tap subscribe so the lights never go out on your feed, and ring the bell so you hear the truth before the echo. If you believe in independent storytelling that looks beyond the clickbait fog, press join and stand with us. Your support keeps the camera steady when the world is shaking. Take a breath. The sound you hear isn't noise, it's a whisper so intense it hushes the whole room. For months, perhaps for years, a single question has hovered above the fandom like a comet that refused to burn out. Could Yaman and Demet Özdemir choose each other not on a set, not in a scene, but in real life? Their names are not just credits, they're constellations that people across continents learned by heart. And today, we aren't chasing stale speculation or recycling the embers of old chatter. Today, a new set of sources and a current of charged murmurs inside the industry are insisting that the impossible has already happened. According to what's circulating, quietly but insistently, Can and Demet have allegedly married in a secret ceremony in the United States. Not hypothetically. Not someday. Done, sealed, whispered to a few and hidden from the many. This isn't fanfiction. It isn't delusion dressed up as fact. It looks, from every angle, like an intentional, careful choice, a ceremony executed in shadow, far from the flashbulbs that always seem to find them in Istanbul, far from the corridor whispers that never quite leave them alone. If this is true, the decision threads together everything we've known about how they guard their hearts. Privacy is the real currency of fame, and for two people whose faces are recognized on sight in airports and alleyways, privacy is the rarest gem of all. To understand the magnitude, you must remember who we're talking about. Can and Demet didn't just recite lines and hit their marks together, they made electricity visible. When they shared a frame, the signal cut through oceans. Viewers in Rome caught it, so did audiences in Sao Paulo, Madrid, and of course in every corner of Turkey. They built their careers on talent, yes, but also on a friction between them that audiences could feel even through cold glass. Fans always hoped the lights would fade but the warmth would stay. And if what we're hearing is rooted in truth, that wish may have shifted from rumor to reality with a vow spoken thousands of miles from home. Let's think about why the United States, why so far, and why so quiet. Because distance can be a fortress when you're famous. Because crossing an ocean is sometimes the only way to mute the relentless hum around your name. The move reads not as theatrics or a PR experiment but as a declaration. This wasn't a performance staged for the public, it was a refuge built for two. The choice to keep it hidden says they see their union as a small sacred fire that needed windbreaks, time, and protection before anyone else could witness its light. Pause and consider the logistics. In a decade where every guest carries a camera and every corner has a lens, pulling off a wedding in America without a single premature leak borders on the miraculous. This level of discretion calls not just for planning, but for a ring of trust that holds tight. Whoever stood alongside them that day wasn't simply a guest. They were a shield. And that turns the night into something beyond a ceremony. It becomes a promise kept by a circle, a conspiracy of love maintained by people who value the human, not the headline. Tell me, Turkish Spotlight Secrets family, what do you think about love that chooses fewer eyes over louder applause? In a culture that urges us to share every breath in real time, there's something almost rebellious about keeping the greatest moment private. If the camera were always pointed at you, would you choose a palace of flowers and press flashes? Or would you disappear for a quiet vow in a place where no one calls your name? Drop your take in the comments, I read them all. And if this kind of deep dive matters to you, tap like and consider join. You help us build these stories with care instead of clamor. Now our curiosity hovers over a map, asking one delicious question: where? America is a canvas too big for a single picture, and the lack of official confirmation leaves room for imagining. Maybe the Pacific witnessed it. Somewhere near Malibu, where cliffs hold up a sky so bright it looks like it might break, where the ocean keeps secrets better than people do. Maybe New York swallowed them into its endless rush, and a rooftop garden heard the promise while the city hummed below, indifferent and therefore kind. Or perhaps they pointed themselves toward the desert, where everything is pared down to color and horizon, and the truth of two people stands out against the silence like a miracle. Wherever it happened, that place now belongs to them, a pin on a map only their hearts can find again. What followed online can only be described as a digital tremor. Fans turned detective overnight, swiping through archives, matching timestamps to passenger lists, decoding captions for a breadcrumb they missed the first time. The community's energy felt equal parts celebration and vindication. For so long, those who believed in Can and Demet's connection defended it from cynics who insisted on a convenient narrative, that it was all for the cameras, that time would unravel the thread. If this marriage truly exists, if it was carried out with solemnity and silence, then it is the most eloquent answer imaginable. While the world debated, they were building something that didn't need an audience to be real. Of course, there are professional ripples to consider. Two megastars choosing each other in life changes how the industry sees them. Do producers rush to reunite them on screen to capture the gravitational pull audiences crave? Or do they keep them apart in storylines to protect the mystery and let life remain life? Regardless of strategy, this step matures their public narrative. They aren't just the thrilling leads of a summer romance or the faces of international campaigns. They are, if reports are accurate, partners who have learned how to hold hands through a storm of fame without letting go. But beyond the analytics and the casting charts lies something quieter and far more essential: the reminder that famous people are still people, with the very same longings, privacy, trust, a witness to their days. By refusing the circus and declining the crown of Wedding of the Year, Can and Demet may have reclaimed their story. They've reminded us that the most meaningful choices don't always wear confetti. Sometimes they whisper, they close a door, they draw a breath together and speak vows only they need to hear. We wait, all of us, in the hush between rumor and confirmation. Perhaps a black and white photograph will arrive one calm Sunday evening, a ring caught by a stray sunbeam, a hand resting against a suit jacket where time seems to pause. Perhaps a joint note will come from a trusted representative, assembled with the elegance they're known for. Until that moment, we sit with the beautiful possibility at the heart of this: two people found each other amidst noise, pressure, disbelief, and distance, and they chose yes. They chose to step aside from the procession, lock the world out for a little while, and speak a promise no crowd will ever fully understand. For longtime followers, the saga of Yaman and Demet Özdemir has always felt like a script that somehow kept rewriting itself in real time: improvised lines, unplanned pauses, glances that said more than monologues could. If this latest twist is genuine, then the secret American ceremony is the most luminous page yet. It becomes a love letter to privacy and a defense of something that can't be measured by streams or shares. There's also the matter of timing. Of how both have navigated demanding schedules that leap between countries and languages. Can's international commitments, especially in Europe, and Demet's heavy slate of series and films, could have pushed them to carve out a pocket of time where the only calendar entry was their own. Choosing the United States may have been part geography, part anonymity, and part symbolism, a neutral ground where their names don't echo quite as loudly, allowing the vows to resonate more clearly. Think again about the people who might have been in that room. The ones who witnessed without recording. The ones who held the moment in their palms like something living and decided not to let it escape. How rare is that? In an age where exclusive sells and a 5-second clip can be traded like currency, some souls chose loyalty. The absence of evidence becomes its own proof, not of the event, necessarily, but of the fierce care protecting it. The fandom has always had a special vocabulary for Can and Demet: inside jokes, nicknames, compilations stitched together from stolen glances and shared laughter. Those memories don't suddenly vanish if a marriage is confirmed, they take on new life. The past becomes prologue. The moments we thought were fleeting dissolve into a timeline that points, unmistakably, toward commitment. And yes, for those who doubted, there will be a temptation to spin the story as strategy. But strategy doesn't explain the hard parts, the quiet, the patience, the decision to stand together when nobody's clapping. Professionally, imagine the possibilities. Picture the gravity of a joint project announced after a confirmed union, a film with grown-up stakes, a series that trades spark for slow burn, something textured and layered where the camera doesn't sprint but lingers. Or imagine the opposite. A deliberate distance on screen, to let reality have its sanctuary while fiction takes a separate road. Whichever path unfolds, the choice will speak volumes about how they intend to shelter what's theirs. It's worth remembering that the truest love stories aren't always loud. They don't require violin swells or grand balconies. Sometimes they look like two people boarding a plane under ball caps, sharing headphones, watching clouds pass as if the sky were theirs alone. Sometimes they look like a tiny ceremony in a room only big enough for vows and a heartbeat. Sometimes they look like a secret that will be told when it's ready, not when the world is hungry. So we wait, not with impatience but with respect. Somewhere, perhaps, there's a hotel room where a bouquet is drying in the corner and a dress hangs like a memory of light. Somewhere there's a suit jacket draped over a chair with one crease that won't fall out, the imprint of a moment pressed into fabric. And somewhere there are two people who, whether the rumor is truth or only a shadow of it, know exactly what they mean to each other. As always, Turkish spotlight secrets will keep our eyes trained on the horizon. If a quiet picture appears, we'll see it. If a careful statement is released, we'll read it with you. Until then, we hold space for the most human version of this story, that Yaman and Demet Özdemir chose care over spectacle, protection over performance, and love over noise. If you're with us, subscribe, like, and consider hitting join to lift up the kind of storytelling that treats hearts like they're worth guarding. And if you've made it this far, tell me one more thing in the comments. If the most important moment of your life arrived, would you want witnesses, or just one? Would you choose applause, or silence that belongs to you? No answer is wrong. That's the lesson here. The grandest magic is often the quietest, and sometimes the most honest promise is the one nobody hears. We'll be here, steady, listening for the softest truth.